morning everyone, and welcome to another video. In this video I would like to discuss the character arc of Jesus Christ. Now you see, in the act of understanding Christ, we have to understand the origin of God, which stems in the self, I am. Now when we see the story of Christ, where we see the name Jesus, which in French, je suis, is another representation of Jesuit, another representation of I am. But in the character arc of Jesus, what is Jesus essentially? Well, he is the story of man. And in the story of man, just as any man, you have a burden to pick up, a cross of sorts which you must carry upon yourself, whether you are a man or a woman at that particular point. But in the understanding of I am, we must now dive into the human aspect of things. Let's see. The teaching of Christ essentially is that you can be taken from your sins and be given your salvation the moment you choose to accept a rebirth, a baptization, where you actively leave all of your sins behind you. You cleanse yourself of those sins. And so how is it that Jesus died a sinless individual? Or was he specifically the last individual that was baptized at that particular era? Which now you see in the understanding of the way John the Baptist would baptize people. He would not simply just sprinkle you with a little bit of water here in the holiest of matters in order to be cleansed before God. John the Baptist would drown you and hold you underwater until you would see the light. And if you were cleansed from your sins and be granted a chance at rebirth upon your judgment, upon seeing the light, you would then be reborn or come back to life from the dead, from your baptization at that particular point. And now when we see the character arc of Jesus, we have to understand that he is just the story of every man and every individual human, whether you're a man or a woman or child. We all stem from a particular beginning. Whether you are a person of faith or not, we all stem from a particular beginning, which now you see in the idea that whether you accept faith or not, do you choose to let go of your sins? Because the moment you let go of your sins is the moment you can accept a new beginning. And I'm not talking about an old way of baptization here. I'm simply talking about the actual symbolization of the baptization and what it meant to be purged or cleansed of one's sins, where you may now walk once again a sinless individual. And in the story of the teaching of Christ, he is meant to be the example of that particular faith, which means even he, as an individual, before he was baptized, must have been a sinner. Because if he did not believe in the beauty of wanting to be cleansed of one's sins, he would not have sought out a baptization from John the Baptist, which we now understand the full depth at to which extent it cost you to be baptized in the old way. And in this particular old way of baptization, oftentimes one would encounter God, and upon returning, They are now in a different state of mind because they were baptized the old way. They saw the light and they came back to make it known to man. Now, what is the character arc of Christ? What is the character arc of I am in that particular notion? Would you not say that from your childhood, from the negative stemmings of your patterns, your roots, you then see that you took on a way of coping or performing acts of sinful activity, ways of coping, taking your sins and placing them on another so that another may experience your sin themselves once they are given a temptation, having their innocence taken away from them. Because that is what is essentially a sinner. It is a pathological repeater and an offender. And to what extent is a sinner? That begs a question, to what extent do you feel the depth of the sins you have committed upon your soul? Which, if you feel a great depth at this particular point, I would invite you to begin your healing journey. I would invite you to reflect upon your life at this particular moment, just as Christ did, where you are now faced with your judgment. Do you, a sinner, accept your sins? And do you choose to leave your sins behind yourself from this moment forth? And with those sins no longer bearing weight upon your soul, do you feel the light? Now take your first breath. You are officially reborn from this moment forth. And you could feel that impulse through your chest, as if your heart stopped and began once again. Because from this moment forth, it is up to you. Is the glass half full or half empty? From the perspective you choose to live your life from this moment forward, how many lives will it take for you to realize the truth? Or is life infinite? And can you be redeemed at any time?